I want to take you back to one of the hardest days in my professional life as a dancer. I walked into a meeting hoping for an apology and action toward change, and I left that meeting knowing in my heart of hearts I didn't have any other choice but to leave the company that I had called home for 5 years. This is me in the car before that meeting. I'm getting ready to do something that I wouldn't have done years ago, and it's something that makes me anxious and yeah, I'd say a little bit scared, but I've come to realize that we can do more difficult things than we realize. I've come to realize more we realize. And I just want to remember this moment for myself in the future, just to know that I can do hard things, and it's worth standing up for what matters to you, big ways or small. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Looking back today, 4 years later, although my heart has healed so much and my journey has taken me to places that have been unimaginable and unexpected, thinking about this period in my life still hurts. I call it a Maverick Moment. It's a moment of wildly transformative change in our lives, often brought about through crisis and necessity, sometimes in periods of calm. But when we look back on these moments, it is the make or break. It is the fork in the road. It is the moment we decide to choose ourselves first. It saddens me to think that other people will continue to have to go through these same moments unnecessarily. And I believe the more of us who are able to heal our hurt, to share our stories, to reclaim what was ours to begin with, the less a chance there will be that someone else has the same situation along their journey. If you're in a period of uncertainty, of questioning, of wondering, is it just me? Did that really happen? I want to let you know that there are systems in our artistic world, in the dance world, that perpetuate harmful practices and behaviors, sometimes unintentionally, sometimes with a great deal of knowing, to the dancers that they rely on to continue the work they do. It is unfortunate that we have to continue standing up for ourselves, that we have to continue bringing up injustice and inequity in the field. Many people who've gone before us have made change to the way that we treat dancers, the way that we talk about the art form, the way that we compensate people for their work, not just monetarily, with care, with dignity, with respect. But these kinds of things have gone on for far too long. Too many people have been hurt by organizations, by people who disguise themselves as leaders, but really aren't leading at all, and by systems that don't take into consideration the whole human and the whole human's needs. Leading up to this meeting, I recorded myself in August of 2022. I was on a 3-week trip with my family in Detroit, Michigan, and I had a lot of time to think. I came to the conclusion that I was choosing me, that I was letting go of anyone and anything that no longer served me and what I needed. Not as an act of selfishness, but maybe so. Selfishness is not only a negative thing, it can be quite positive. Choosing to hold to my own boundaries and to create space between things that just weren't working anymore was one of the best decisions that I ever made. I look back on that time and I see now how important it was to the trajectory of my journey as a dancer. And while I'm not thankful for how things went down, I am so thankful for what happened next. If you are in a moment where things feel so unclear, if you are in a moment where if you are in a moment, I just have to take a minute to honor myself then and now. Same for you on the other side of this screen. We give a lot to this industry. Sometimes we can be trained from a young age to be quiet, to follow rules, to be disciplined, dedicated, committed. Many times these are great qualities in a dancer. But when you are unaware of who and what you are giving that discipline and dedication and commitment and life energy to, years down the road, we realize that we've followed a path for a long time that wasn't benefiting us. And instead of developing trust in ourselves and an understanding of ourselves and the ability to speak up, a lot of the times our feelings become repressed, suppressed, repressed. Um, our feelings are put on the back burner, and the thoughts in our mind that say, hey, wait a minute, that didn't feel right, get pushed aside because we believe that to be a dancer requires us to sacrifice everything. So I want to take a moment to honor myself. There are many things that I look back on, and I know I take responsibility for as an artist, as a dancer, as a choreographer in the experiences I had with this organization. Where if someone came to me today and was frustrated by the way that I communicated with or treated them, I would wholeheartedly, I believe, I would take responsibility and do my best to show them care, to express my sincere apology, and to take actions toward change. Unfortunately, that's really all I asked in this moment. I could go into detail about the email I sent asking for a meeting to talk. I look back for the first time today on that conversation, and I asked for a meeting, was met with a response of yes, let's schedule a meeting. I'm sure there was curiosity, of course, about the topic of the meeting, but when someone in leadership responds to schedule the meeting and says yes, but then comes back with, before we meet, I would like to know what this meeting's about. I don't like mystery and intrigue. There are many moments I look back and I say, oh, that was probably a red flag. That was probably a red flag. And I know everyone has their different needs. Everyone's going through different things. Everyone has a different sort of capacity physically and mentally and emotionally. I understand that, and I'm aware of that, and I try and take that into consideration in the way I live my life and then and now. But I feel like a lot of the times that's not the way that people act in general, and that's not what they do, unfortunately. I'm not completely sure of the direction of this conversation, but lately, and especially if you're just dropping into this video for the first time and you're like, who in the world is this person sharing this deeply personal story? My name is Lauren Messina. I am the Dance Maverick. I share about my journey as a dancer, a community builder. I have a free community on Skool called Skool Dance, where we talk about reclaiming our stories and finding our place in the dance community and making our place in the dance community. If you're looking for a space with encouraging people, please come and join us. That space has been dear to my heart, came about honestly through a lot of this, and I've met many people there that have shaped my journey over the past few years. I'm bringing up this topic of care in the dance industry and of not seeing dancers as disposable because I've been getting a lot of DMs lately with people talking about how can we make change? And it's coming on the part of the dancers who have been involved in the past and now. Dancers in this organization that, unfortunately, for many, many years, 13 seasons, have endured conditions they shouldn't have had to deal with. And sometimes when you're in a system, it can be hard to see. It can be hard to truly feel your experiences when you feel like you have to be loyal to this work because it is your livelihood and your life is attached to that. If something is wrong in the organization, it can make us feel like, oh, I'm not smart enough to make a good decision for myself. I got myself into this. This can't be right. And the same sort of gaslighting that can happen from an organization to an individual begins to permeate the entire structure. And we have peers that do this to one another. We have individuals that do this to themselves because of the toxicity that is present within a space. It shapes the entire space. I recently spoke with several dancers and reached out to share where I am at now, to say, I see you, as just a gesture of, I think we're all here. Maybe not all of us, because we all have a different experience of what our journey was like. And I received some lovely responses. I was surprised to find the first response I received was from a dancer saying to me something along the lines of, this isn't my story, and you shouldn't think it is, and you have a good intention, and I love you and want to tell you that I'm tired of people speaking for me. And I really get where this person is coming from, because oftentimes we do have a lot of people speaking for us as dancers. We have organizations that grow in monetary value, they grow in terms of what they can do in a community and in the world on account of a dancer's dedication, a dancer's hard work, a dancer's time commitment, a dancer's actual bodily energy, and a dancer's reputation as well. They grow on account of having so and so and so and so, and oh, this can't be a toxic place because we have so and so and they enjoy being here. They grow on the back of representation as well. Having certain people from multiple populations and demographics and psychographics helps show diversity in a space. And that diversity also allows them to say, this can't be a toxic and exclusive environment because we are diverse. Look at all of these people here who have said yes to this. So if you are in a place where you're feeling like, oh, I hear you, and that's not my story. If you feel the need to put your guard up immediately, anyone, anywhere, if you feel the need to say, that's not my story, when many, many people are saying, hey, this is the situation and this has been our story for a long time, and we all feel this way, many of us. I'm sure there are people who don't, clearly. But I encourage you, in those kinds of situations, I have to remind myself of this too, to take a step back and see, why do I feel so defensive? Why do I feel like I have to put my guard up? No one is actually saying anything about me when they're sharing their story. It's about them. Do I feel something? Do I feel a connection to this story that I'm not ready to hold on to or navigate through? There's just so much to unpack. And I feel like these things happen. This is getting so vague and abstract, but I do want to share with you this meeting that I had to share about what I hoped would be change in this organization to bring a full letter and read it with specific things, actions that I took, things that I had tried to say in previous years and how I was responded to. Bringing these things, reading these things, crying a lot in the meeting, maybe being very direct about, hey, this is a boundary I want to put down. If we're not able to have some changes here, I can't stay because this is too much. What's happening here? I felt so frustrated. There are only 2 leaders that I specifically focus on because from one, my dear friend, I felt so much love and support as always, and I received a beautiful response. That was the only response I received when I followed up and emailed this letter that I read, thinking it would be helpful to just have on record for them, hey, if you do plan to make any changes in the future, someone just poured their heart out to share with you what you could possibly do, or at least their experience. I received no reply, except the one from the supportive leader. But from the other 2, unfortunately, my experience was hearing one said, oh, Lauren Ashley, I'm so sorry you feel that way. That's it. Not, I'm so sorry you feel that way. It wasn't my intention to make you feel that way. It wasn't my intention to have this be the environment we co-created together. Oh, I'm so sorry you feel that way. I truly apologize for any actions that I took that might have influenced or impacted your experience here. We'd love to make a change. What can we do to make this better? I I see now. And I just, if you are a dancer who takes the responsibility to advocate for yourself in these kinds of settings, reach out to someone because I was not prepared to go into that meeting and advocate for myself and feel the way I felt, and then have to deal with the repercussions of walking away from something in many moments I truly enjoyed. Having the opportunity, I remember after this meeting even thanking them for the experience because coming to a new city, joining a dance company where I was able to do something that I loved on a daily basis with people I enjoyed doing it with, it would have its ups and downs. It had its cracks clearly in a lot of them, but there are many things that it wasn't easy to just say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't expect that I would just be there for 5 years. I could imagine myself there for 10. Um, but not under those circumstances. If you are someone who has to go into this sort of situation where you're advocating for yourself and you choose to do this, I hope that you reach out to someone to be of support to you, even to go with you. There are many things that we can do to safeguard ourselves. I know that now. In preparation for these kinds of events, after as well, documenting things, having advocates for dancers who are of this kind of mindset and understanding is so vital. And looking back, I love my sweet self. She was so sweet. She is still so sweet. But I love that part of myself that thought that maybe something would change. That thought, when you have someone who's been dancing here for many years, and there were many others that danced for many years as well, and had their own stories of hard experiences that they just dealt with because that's how things were done. When you have someone coming and saying, hey, there's a problem here, I'm having a hard time and I told you this and you didn't change anything. But the first response you give them is, I'm sorry you feel this way. Maybe at some point I will share that letter as well, because I think that there are things along the way that led up to this Maverick moment in my life that unpacking them could be helpful for others to not have to go through this situation. This is 4 years ago for me, so it's not still a part of my life currently. It's just hearing recent news from friends dealing with the same kinds of conditions and more frustrates me. It frustrates me because I really had hope that my decision to walk away, that me sharing my letter of all of these things would bring some change. I focused a lot during that time on my own life and on creating things so that I could feel the way I felt being a part of a company. I created a community around myself online in Skool Dance. Um, I started pitching myself and my work for projects I won't say I wouldn't have done, but I would have been focused in another direction. My focus went somewhere else out of necessity. I needed to feel creative as a new mother. I needed to remind myself of my self worth and my validity as a dancer. And I needed to do things because it was very hard to go from a daily routine of waking up in the morning, eating my breakfast, getting ready, packing my bag, getting my dance clothes on, going to class, going to rehearsal, reviewing choreography, planning my life basically around that schedule. Things definitely changed when I became a mom, but I even went back to work when our daughter was a few months old. I remember nursing during breaks there, choreographing as a new mom. And as I said, I am one who I look back and there's moments on my part that I could have done things differently. And I take full responsibility. But to hear someone say that response, to hear someone say the second response, which looking back now, I partially have to laugh, but part of me is sympathetic because the other response to me sharing this full letter is no, no. Oh, this breaks my heart. Basically, you can't do this to us. It's going to crush me. um, Other dancers have left, so and so left, and it's been so hard. You can't do this. This is too much. And the person getting up out of their chair and walking out of the room dramatically, as if me sharing my hard experience was such a problem. One side, one person taking zero responsibility for their actions and how it impacted another person. The other side, someone playing the victim as if me sharing my experience and my story is a direct attack on them. This isn't what we need as dancers. We don't need to receive these kinds of responses. And if that's what you're getting in your company, in the organization that you work with, I want you to know that you are doing exactly what you should be doing. That those kinds of responses don't mean that your experience is invalid. Those kinds of responses mean that I guess we have adults here that aren't able to take responsibility for whatever reason. Maybe they don't feel like they did anything wrong. And if that's the case, unfortunately, I think we do have many narcissistic, psychopathic, we have many people who are dealing with um, difficulties in their mind in this artistic industry. We have a certain sort of person that can gravitate toward being an artist in power, um, being the brilliant mind that is moving the puppets of the organization around. There's something there. But I personally know that there's another way. I know that the other side of my life, the past 4 years, it has felt so good to choose who I surround myself with. to make work that I care about with people I care about, and to try my best to treat people well, to feel that from others in the community. But these kinds of stories aren't things that we hear every day, because, at least in my situation, I walked away, had to take care of myself, had to do different things, and I didn't go and publicly share this with everyone. Um, I didn't go and email all the dancers and say, hey, this is what happened. I think I told them I was leaving. Um, and I think I probably thanked some of them, wished them well, because I really missed them. I missed I missed dancing with my friends. Like I said in the meeting, I have to set a boundary. And I don't think that's something many of us, um, I'm 36, almost 37, in my generation and generations before me. I don't think in life in general, and even in our training as dancers, we are trained to create boundaries and to remember boundaries. We have a lot of questionable practices growing up in our training. Many of that's changed, and there's so many studios I love and admire for the way that they work with dancers. But there are studios that still, these boundaries are crossed all the time, whether it's touch and correction, whether it's the way that people verbally speak to dancers. And it's ingrained in many of us to think, not me, I don't feel that way. I've never felt, when you're yelling at me, that's a good thing. That's not that's not the way I'm motivated at all. But I have heard many people say, oh, that's how I get motivated, by hearing someone speak to me that way. And it's gone on for so long. We see it in movies, we read it in books, we see it on stage, and the harshness, sometimes people call it the reality of the dance world. We see it in reality shows about dance, that it's painted as if the life of an artist and the life of a dancer, it's just expected that that's the way that you'll be treated. And if you can't take it, then you need to get out of the dance field. And it's really just not the truth. We can treat each other with care and love, and we can still require, hey, you also need to do your job. If you can't do your job, go practice. If you can't do your job at all, like, you can be replaced for reasons. But to just fire a whole company and hire a new artistic director and put out a post maybe a month later looking for dancers for an audition is real shady. And so many places are doing it. So many places are saying, I can't speak about this organization as I haven't been there in 4 years. I know my experience. I don't know everyone else's. But in general, so many places say, hey, we're going a different direction. I shared on my last video my experience with a choreographer saying, my vision has changed. I don't need you anymore. And as a whole, organizations feel as if it's fine to do that. They might have these sketchy contracts and hire dancers not as employees, but as independent contractors with no health benefits and blah, 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 blah. And I'm speaking in general terms here, not talking about one specific organization, but the field in general. They pull us in to do so much work to build up these institutions. And in the end, to just say, yeah, we don't need you anymore. You've served your purpose. Oh, but we do need another dancer that's also professionally trained in the same technique and has the same capacity and capabilities as you, and you just proved your worth and work for years and years. We don't need you anymore, but we do need to hire some more dancers just like you. Gosh, it is frustrating. If you are on the other side experiencing this, I see you. I'm sorry. we have to continue to go through these things. We don't have to. I guess we do choose some of these things, but many of us don't know or understand that we have a choice in this and that this doesn't have to be the norm. So my hope is that we can share our stories publicly, because as much as people want to tell us, hey, don't talk about that with the other dancers, none of us signed an NDA, right? We can talk about whatever we want. I felt so much joy participating in Gibney Dance Company's Moving Toward Social Justice cohort. I can't remember how many weeks it was, but we talked about so many different topics in dance. I remember a workshop from Kevin Gotkin, I think, about access ecologies. We had a workshop about dance for social change from Nigel Campbell. Amy Miller was leading the program, and shout out to Amy. Amy came and gave a discussion for our Skool Dance community that I will remember for a long time. But being a part of that cohort, probably some months maybe before this experience, I can't remember if it was a year before my decision to move on. But I remember writing, I'll have to find that notebook. I remember writing about how I wanted a community where people cared about each other, where people respected and trusted each other, and we could build that together. I wanted dancers to have the voice to be able to speak. A lot of that desire, I know, was from my own feelings. I wasn't having those needs met. I wasn't feeling like I could take the ownership and responsibility to do that for myself at the time. I remember writing about something I wanted to create called Dancers Speak Now, where it was really just dancers sharing stories that it felt like they couldn't say. And it just reminds me, we can say whatever we want, whenever and wherever we want. That's what I felt when I read the response to the message I sent. And I get it. I get it. Someone could read that and say, that's not my experience. You shouldn't talk about that as if it is. But what I say to all of you, everywhere, dancer or not, is your life is yours to live. It's taken me time to realize, as maybe someone who is more of an maybe introvert, my human design I found and now pay attention to as a projector. I describe myself as a highly sensitive person. When we don't speak over and over and over again, when we keep these things inside, it can get harder and harder to speak over time. It can feel like, well, I don't need to say that. It's okay. It's not that big of a deal. It can feel like, oh, well, nobody else is saying anything, so I guess it doesn't matter. And it can feel like, man, I'm the only one saying anything all the time. That wasn't my experience, but that is how it can feel. But the truth is, we can speak up and out and about whatever we want. We can also take really good care of ourselves. And when we need to, just chill, just hold back, just not say what we feel like, because a lot of the work is put on particular populations, people groups, underrepresented folks. A lot of the pressure is put on them to say something, to be the one to stand up and advocate for themselves in a system that is just constantly pushing them down. So for you, my friend, if you're still watching this discussion, please leave a comment and share about your experience. It's been 4 years for me. I don't know if I've shared yet this video of me coming out of that meeting and feeling so sad. There have been many moments in my life that I didn't say what I wanted to say. I didn't speak up for myself or for other people when it really mattered. And I can say today that I'm really, really proud of myself. And I also hear myself at the end believing that there's something better in store. Now, looking back 4 years later, I do know that there's something better in store, that you can make the choice for yourself to say, no, I don't have to deal with this anymore. I don't have to be here. I enjoy my life and my art, and I'll keep dancing and I'll keep making art and I'll keep doing it as much as I want to, but I don't have to do it here. I don't have to be treated like this, and neither does anyone else. It can be something so small. It could be something so big and obvious. Whatever it is, it's yours to decide. You can speak up. You can speak out. You can make change. Together, the more of us that are able to, when we can, share these stories, hopefully, years down the line, we will see some impact in the dance industry. And if we don't see it, we will create it for ourselves. And those are the kinds of spaces that I hope continue to thrive. And anybody that doesn't want to get on board with what dancers really need and are asking for, maybe they should create something else. Because you would feel like if you're making a space that is a dance company that's all about dance, you would feel like you'd prioritize the voices of the people who actually know it and live in it and create in it every single day. That is my hope for the future. I appreciate you all. And I will put a link in the description. You can come and join us in Skool Dance. Not everything feels this heavy. A lot of things I think feel light in there. We have a lot of fun conversations. But you can also come in and share and be vulnerable to what's comfortable for you. You can share about what's hard then, what's hard now, where you're at in life. I will also put a link to the Maverick Circle, which is a 6-week program that I do. You can check the link in the description. And if you've missed the deadline to request an invitation for the current circle, you can send the same application in and just join the wait list for the next time we do it. And I would be happy to have you there. We talk about reclaiming our stories together. We talk about just making our way in the world and finding our voices. And there are so many ways to do that. So be encouraged. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning. Right now could feel hard. And if it is, I hope that you have like the biggest hug, the biggest support, the most, if you're a touchy person, the most loving arms wrapped around you. If you're not a touchy person, I hope you just feel support and a strong foundation. All right. See you next time.